everyone, I'm Ari Meghlen here with Rachel Poley, and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. We are on episode 141, and we're doing something a little different again. We're going to do another Would You Rather. But this week's question is, Would You Rather Movie Edition? Why? Because we felt like it. So, before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening so you never miss a show. And if you enjoy our episode, please do give it a like, write a review, and share it with friends. Okay, so if you've heard these games before, we've done a few of them now. We ask a would you rather question and then answer it, and hopefully you'll do the same in the comments. First question: would you rather watch a horror movie or a romantic movie, Rachel?
Romance. I can't even, there's no thinking on this one. Definitely romance, because horror is scary and I don't like scary things, and romance can be scary too, but I can at least handle it more than I can horror. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm not a huge romance person, but between those two, I like a good rom-com. I do. I'll say that, but horror, absolutely not. That's such a hard pass for me. So no. Romance.
You see, I would have originally said romance, not because I like romance movies, but because horror is quite intense, and I'm not a big fan of that, mainly because I have a really good imagination and it just stays with me forever. And then it's like, for the next 3 weeks, I'm checking behind doors and in the attic and not answering the door. Not that I ever answer the door anyway. I have to admit, I do watch a lot more horror movies now. My partner really loves horror, so what he will do is he will watch movies, and then if he thinks it's a sort of movie I would like because of the plot or the characterization or the supernatural element, and then he thinks it's something I could stand, he will then suggest it to me. And sometimes he will be good enough to remind me there's a good scary bit coming up now, and I can, if I don't want to look, I won't look. But he hasn't got the best memory, and he doesn't always remember, and then I usually get a jump scare, but it doesn't happen too often, thankfully. I don't like horror movies that are heavy on gore. I'm not a big gore fan. I just don't see the point in that. It's just too much of a shock factor that gets a bit dull. And I don't like the really, really creepy horror movies. But I actually don't even mind the kind of the tension, that stress build up where you feel something's coming and then it doesn't happen, but it's still building up. It's a weird thing. It's like, I don't like that sensation normally, but when I watch a horror movie, it's kind of enjoyable. I don't know why. I've watched a few romance movies recently and they've been so awful or just really not good relationship wise. So it's kind of like, I think I'd probably go for horror. Yeah, I think I'd go for horror.
Seriously, wow. I mean, I enjoy the suspense factor, and I agree with you. I don't like any gore or anything like that. But even though I do like a little bit of suspense, I get so much anxiety watching pretty much any new movie that I haven't seen before, let alone a horror movie. But I gotta ask, have you ever watched Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love that movie. It was such a great movie, but I haven't watched it in a long time because the first time I watched it, I could not take a shower. I would shower with the curtain open because I was so petrified that somebody was going to come in and kill me, even though I knew that wasn't going to happen. And I would just make a mess of the bathroom because water would be everywhere. And my sisters would always be like, why is the bathroom all wet? Why are the towels soaked? And I'd be like, oh yeah, when I was drying myself, I accidentally dropped the towel in the tub, and I would just lie it out of my ass and didn't want to admit that I was petrified of the Psycho movie.
To be fair though, what a silly woman. She sits there in the shower. Well, she'll say she's in the shower and she leaves the bathroom door open. First of all, the bathroom door should be closed, and second of all, the lock should be put through. And then third, you don't put your back to the door. That's just general knowledge in my eyes. So even if I'm alone in the house, it's like the door is locked and I'm always facing the door just in case some weird psycho person's going to come in. I don't understand anyone who would shower with the door open. That's just weird. Very weird.
I will sometimes admit that I do shower with the door open a crack, just because I have the water on boiling. So it gets super steamy. So I will have it open a crack just to, let some of the air escape. But I do agree with you. And I think the actress, I forget her name, but I do think that she stopped taking showers after that movie. She always took baths, because it even freaked her out, even though it was just a movie. Overall, Alfred Hitchcock is probably the only horror type movies that I will watch.
I can understand that. We actually have a large collection of his movies. And it's like, when I say horror movies, I certainly don't mean like the Saw movies or
No.
Wrong Turn. Again, they're very gore heavy. Some of my favorite ones that I can watch are The Conjuring, Grave Encounters, which is more of a silly one, but still. I think it's As Above, So Below. Things like that, where there's a bit more plot to it, or there's a like, because like Grave Encounters is a very mockumentary. You know, you're following the TV crew who are making a movie, who are making a documentary or a TV series about like hauntings, and they're all fake. But then they go into an old hospital and it's actually real and things like that. But any of the really heavy movies like The Grudge, the original, or The Ring.
No.
Those are a bit. I have seen both of those, and they gave me nightmares, so I don't watch them. So I'm talking the ones that have got a little bit easier. They seem to have more plot and more character development rather than the horror-y, scarier things. I mean, obviously, The Conjuring has some really creepy bits, especially I think it's Conjuring 2 with the nun. But again, it's those ones, not the really, really, really scary ones. Yeah, I usually stay away from the international horror movies that seem to be really intense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, we don't do that.
None of them are for me. You know, speaking of horror, I'm just going to go ahead into my first question. Would you rather live in a zombie apocalypse or in a post-apocalyptic world?
That's a good point. I mean, I feel like they might actually be the same thing depending on what would happen.
You came up with the question.
I know, I'm well aware I came up with the question. Doesn't mean I was ready for it. I wasn't ready for it. I have watched a lot of zombie movies, and it's weird because I'm not the biggest fan of zombie movies, mainly because things like Dawn of the Dead and you know, the original ones, the more classic-y ones. And I apologize for spoilers. They never end well. It's like everybody dies kind of feeling. Whereas some of the newer ones, like Zombieland and things like that, where it's not as, oh my god, everyone's dead kind of feeling. But I don't like that sensation that there's nothing you can do. It's just everyone's going to go. So I don't think I'd want to live in a zombie apocalypse. As much as the idea of having to deal with zombie apocalypse would be quite interesting, because I have got a massive scenario in my head of what I would do, where I would go, who I would take with me, how I would survive, and everything, like right down to the minuscule thing of every part of it. But I think I would go for post-apocalyptic because I could probably survive that better. I'm not a very fit person. I don't think I could outrun zombies all the time. Yeah, no, I think I'll go for post-apocalyptic.
Really appreciate that you have everything planned out to a T. My next door neighbor, he was in his 90s. He passed away a couple of years ago. And when his kids were cleaning out his house to sell it, they found in his shed, he had a ton of canned goods and stuff and like all these things. And they found out that he wholeheartedly believed that there was going to be a zombie apocalypse. And he had a stash, like he was ready. He was prepared. He was blind when he died, but he would have survived anyway. Like he could barely walk. He couldn't do anything, but he's like, I will survive this zombie apocalypse. Me, on the other hand, I know for a fact that if I were in a zombie apocalypse, I would just let them take me because I know I'm not going to survive. I know I'm just going to freak out. I'm going to be useless. So I'm like, just let them take me. And then that's just one less person you have to deal with. So my answer would be, I would rather live in a post-apocalyptic world because I think, as you said, I think I'd be able to handle that better. And it's post-apocalyptic. So I know I did survive.
That is a really good point. That is a sneaky good point. And obviously, depending on the type of post-apocalyptic, I mean, if we're talking like a nuclear war, then you might have to deal with mutant and things like that, or you know, struggling with radiation poisoning. But I'm going to assume that that's not what it is, and it's just, you know, fighting over resources and Mad Max in it, you know, things like that.
That's true. I didn't think of that when it says post-apocalyptic, because we're talking about zombies. I just assumed it was a post-zombie apocalypse. But that's a good point. Like if we were living post-Thanos, I think I'd be able to survive. Like it would be really sad depending on who ended up getting dusted, but I don't know. I think like I'd be able to survive and adapt to that.
No, I can see that. It's when you watch those movies and you're like, oh wow, and then as you get older and you're like, you know what, I think Thanos had a point.
Right? Like it's like he's such a good villain because of that. Like I understand his reasoning. He just went about it in the complete wrong way.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if you could like specify. There's definitely some people you could just get rid of.
Yes.
a very dark episode.
Yeah.
And with that, let's bounce on, since we're talking about Avengers, and say, would you rather be in the Avengers or part of the Justice League?
I don't really need to think hard on this one either. I would much rather be in the Avengers rather than the Justice League. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Justice League. I've seen the cartoon. I have them on DVD. Great show. But I'm more of a Marvel person than a DC person. And I would much rather get to know the Avengers rather than the Justice League. Or I say get to know as if I'm like part of their team or anything like that, which that might not be the case. I might just be living in the world where the Avengers exist or where Justice League exists. And I still think I would choose Avengers.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'll be honest, I know about the Justice League. I haven't seen any of the movies. Not the biggest DC fan, was never the biggest Superman fan. The Batmans with Michael Keaton were good. Val Kilmer, no. George Clooney, no. Can't think of anyone else. Christian Bale, yes. And then, is it Robert Pattinson did one? No. Ben Affleck, no. I feel like it's getting a bit to the point where it's like, we don't need that many Batman movies. And I appreciate I'm going around the houses. But no, I'm not the biggest fan of the Justice League. The characterization's quite annoying and frustrating, and no. Whereas, I don't know, the Avengers, it just works. They feel a bit more cohesive. They're a bit more interesting. So yeah, I would definitely be fine with the Avengers rather than the Justice League. And also, Avengers sounds cool. Justice League! It just sounds so soppy. I can't be doing with it. We're part of the Justice League. No, I'm not having it.
See, I haven't watched any of the Justice League movies either. I haven't really watched any of the DC movies. I watched Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, fantastic movie, and I watched the Christian Bale Batman movies. Other than that, I haven't watched any of them. I've heard a lot of them are pretty bad, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I haven't been interested in giving them my time of day. But again, the cartoon Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, those were solid shows. That's my childhood right there.
Seriously, the cartoons are always better.
Yes, yeah.
You know, but I mean, the original Superman with Christopher Reeve, brilliant. Man of Steel, and don't get me wrong, I really can't think of his name. What's he called? Henry Cavill, who's the Witcher. Yeah. I liked him in The Witcher, but yeah, he was in Man of Steel, and it was okay, but he was a bit moody. He was leaning into Batman, I feel, with the whole dark, gloomy moodiness going on. It was really bizarre. And I recently watched, I have seen it before and it was awful, and then I rewatched it going, was it bad? Green Lantern about 3 days ago, in recording this, by the way, which is, being recorded in July. And I will watch almost anything with Ryan Reynolds because I really like Ryan Reynolds. There's certain actors and actresses where you like them so much, you're like, I don't care how bad their movie is, I am going to watch that movie because they're in it. We've got, Benedict Cumberbatch, I'll always watch anything with him in. Bruce Willis, I'll watch anything with him in. Dwayne Johnson, always watch anything with him in it. They're just entertaining in their own right. So you just give them a pass. I watched Green Lantern. I didn't know anything about Green Lantern. Never read any of the comics, didn't know anything about them. It's awful. It's so awful. Even Ryan Reynolds couldn't save it. I mean, he was good, but yeah, no. They're just lacking. DC is just lacking. Sorry to anyone who really likes DC. So.
I've heard that their TV shows are really good, but their movies are not so much good. That made sense. That was a good sentence. But I haven't really seen any of them. Like I said, the only DC movie I've watched is Wonder Woman. I never watched the Green Lantern movie. I did want to. Not surprised that it wasn't great though, but yeah, I've never watched it. But speaking of Green Lantern, I'll go ahead and continue this conversation. Would you rather have the powers of X-Man Wolverine or the powers of Green Lantern?
Okay, I'm going to be a bit of a dick here. And probably say Green Lantern. Because I know. But Wolverine is really cool. He's got all the healing, and he's got I assume if you have the powers, you get the extra, you get the adamantium and everything, because that's not a power. He has his bone claws. But the power of the Green Lantern, according to the movie, if it's a different in the comic, I don't know. I'm basing it off the bad movie I saw, was this kind of the power of will. Oh my God, it sounds so dull. And being able to literally create things from your imagination. So as long as you can think it, you can project it. Are you kidding? We're writers. I would have just literally layered the world with my world and just created that and then just be living in it. That's what I would do. So yeah, I would definitely want Green Lantern power, and also obviously flying and apparently breathing in space, because they seem to fly about in space a lot, and everyone seems to be able to breathe in space. So I'm going to take that too. So yeah, I would probably have to accept the Green Lantern powers grudgingly.
Yeah, there seems to be no rules about space when it comes to like superhero movies, but I gotta say, I do agree with you. I would take Green Lantern's powers as well because I feel like you can do a lot more with it. And I love Wolverine. He's very cool, but I really don't want those things inside of me. That just kind of grosses me out and freaks me out. So it'd be cool to heal, but no, I mean, I could take it if I was Green Lantern. I could just take like the Green Lantern stuff and like put a bubble around myself, and then I wouldn't even need to heal myself because I wouldn't get hurt in the first place.
Well, that's it. He still feels pain. He
Yeah,
just
he does.
feels it. And
Yeah.
also, my nails are not that long, and I still manage to scratch myself and poke myself with them.
Yes.
Could you imagine if I had fucking giant claws? I would be constantly taking my face off by accident, just rubbing my cheek and huge chunk gone. No, I'm too clumsy for adamantium claws. Definitely not. And you'd get stopped when you went through the bloody airport thing every time, wouldn't you? Beep, beep,
Oh
beep.
yeah, probably because it's all metal.
Yeah.
I mean that's one of his hugest. Jeez, I really can't talk in this episode. My apologies, but that's like one of his biggest weaknesses. Like whenever he goes up against Magneto, Magneto literally just lifts him up and flicks him away because he controls metal. Whereas Green Lantern, I'm sure he has weaknesses too, but it's not as easy as that. Granted, Wolverine's the only I mean, Magneto's the only person that can utilize that weakness on Wolverine, but hopefully you get my point.
Yeah. To be fair, Green Lantern's outfit's bad, so I'm classing that as the negative.
That is true. That is true. A lot of their outfits are bad though.
I know whoever did the design just really didn't work with it. It's just no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well we're moving on, and we're sticking to weird questions.
What
These
is
are the
this
weirdest questions. Okay, so would you rather be the villain in an action movie or the main character in a horror movie?
I'm pretty sure you already know my answer to this one. I would much rather be the villain in an action movie. And here's why. One, I already hate horror movies. We already talked about that. I don't like them. And if you're the main character of a horror movie, that automatically means that you're stupid. And if you hear a noise, you're going to go check it out. You're going to go in the woods by yourself and you're going to separate yourself from the group and you're going to end up dying. I don't want that. So no horror movies. I don't care if I'm the main character or not. Absolutely no. I would much rather be a villain in an action movie because if it's an action movie, that means I got cool moves or cool powers or have cool technology and I'm the villain. So I can just do whatever I want. Will I win? Will I lose? I don't know, but I had fun either way. There we go.
That's a good point, because like if you're the main character in a horror movie, it doesn't mean you're going to survive. You know, there's been enough horror movies where everybody's died. Or you think you've survived, and then at the end of the movie it flashes back, and you're actually still trapped inside, and you're just a bit crazy now. And so, yeah, I probably would lean toward villain because, first of all, villainry sounds awesome. Sometimes the idea of just breaking free from that, and bank robbing and things like that. Yeah, I'm okay with them. And also, you might survive because there might be a sequel that you're in. So you've probably actually got a better chance of surviving as a villain in an action movie than you have of a main character in a horror movie. So yeah, I'm gonna go with villain as well. And the fact you said like all the possible like awesome tech or powers or millions or just like some sort of like sociopathic level that messes with everybody's head and they don't know where you're going with it or what you're doing and you can't be predicted. That kind of like that too, gives you a lot more scope than just main character in a horror movie.
Yes, you have options as the villain. And it could be like Megamind, where you end up turning into the good guy.
Oh, yes. That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like anything could happen. And now I'm going to ask a completely random question. Would you rather eat popcorn at the movies or nachos? Asking the good stuff. This is the important question. That's why we saved it for last.
It tells you a lot about a person, just this question.
Yes, absolutely. Choose wisely.
I'm gonna go with nachos as long as they come with cheese, because I really do like nachos, but only with cheese. I'm not one of these that likes jalapeno or any of that crap on it. And popcorn, it always seems like a good idea, but it's not. And I do eat popcorn and I do eat sweet popcorn. I don't know why anyone eats salty popcorn. I don't know what's wrong with you people. But I'm forever biting into popcorn and getting those unpopped kernels. And I just get angrier and angrier. So you don't get that with nachos. There's just crunch and there's the melted cheese and it makes you feel a bit sick because you eat way too much of it. Yeah, I'm going to go with nachos.
You know, as someone who doesn't go to the movies anymore and has never had nachos at the movie theater, I think I would actually choose nachos over popcorn because you do bring up good points. I love popcorn. Kettle corn is the best. But I mean, that's the thing. Like at the movie theaters, you get popcorn and it's either too salty or it's too buttery. That's probably an unpopular opinion. I don't even know. I prefer kettle corn. And I mean, a lot of times I have a backpack. I don't have a purse or anything. I have a backpack so I can sneak stuff around with me and I can like really just bring my house along wherever I go. So if I'm going to have popcorn at the movie theaters, I usually buy kettle corn and I stuff it in my backpack. I don't typically buy anything at the movies anyway because it's mad expensive. And I never ordered nachos because I knew for a fact I would spill it all over myself. So that's the reason why I've never had nachos. I love nachos. I make them for myself at home all the time. And the melted cheese. I mean, anything with cheese on it. You can't, that's just, cheese is my favorite. I love cheese. You can't there's no question. No question.
What's weird is I have never ever had nachos outside of the cinema. I didn't even
Really?
I didn't even think it was a thing. It's movie food. That's it. It's like popcorn. We don't even eat popcorn outside the cinema. It became just so obsessed with it being part of the cinema experience that the idea of someone going, "Oh, would you like me to bring you some popcorn?" It's like, no, I'm not at the cinema. What are you talking about? Same with nachos. It doesn't dawn on me that I could go and get or make nachos and have them at home. So that's a bit sad. I should probably try and do that. But
Yeah, next time you go to the grocery store, definitely go buy yourself some stuff to make nachos at home because holy crap, you need that in your life.
yeah,
You just do. There's no this. That's it. End of story.
yeah. I think I might have to just. It's just one of those things. I don't associate nachos with anything outside of the cinema. It's like no, you can only get them at the cinema. That's it. It's just
a good snack once in a while. You
is.
don't need to make like a big bucket load of nachos or anything. Just like get a handful of chips and just heat up a little bit of cheese. Or sometimes I just get shredded cheese and melt it on top and boom, done.
I do have nachos with cheese because it tastes awesome, but I am lactose intolerant and I get like really snotty in the face because I can't breathe properly because of I'm gonna be really gross, all the mucus and everything. And yet I still do it because it's fucking cheese and it's so nice.
Listen, if there's anything I've learned about people who are lactose intolerant is that, I mean, you have an allergy to something, you're gluten-free, you stay away with a 10-foot pole. People who are lactose intolerant, they just throw caution to the wind and they're like, screw it. I'm eating my cheese. I'm eating my ice cream.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from me.
It's so, I mean, I do have vegan cheese most of the time, but you can't go to the cinema and go, do you have vegan cheese? You can melt on that.
Yeah.
So you have to accept what is given to you. But yeah, oh, it's so nice. It's so nice.
It's so delicious.
I've actually just as a random point, I remember the first time I actually had popcorn at the cinema. I actually went to see the movie Relic, which was kind of like a horror monster thriller thing.
Bringing horror back into this. Jeez Louise.
I know. And it wasn't massive. I don't think it's horror what normal people call horror, but it was horror for me because there was like some scary bits and that. And somebody was with me and they said something and I looked at them and then when I looked back, a jump scare happened and I slammed the popcorn right in the middle and it flew and hit these two guys like 3 rows in front and just went all over them. It was such a waste of good popcorn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, don't eat popcorn when you're watching horror.
Oh my. See, that's the funny thing about it. Like the last time I went to the movie theaters, it was to go see Detective Pikachu. And again, as I said, I don't go to the theater anymore. I only went that one time because I just was really excited for the movie. So I forced myself to go. But I had a bag of pretzels. I bought like a party size bag of cheese pretzels. They were cheese flavored. And I stuffed them in my backpack. And I just sat there in the theater, just reaching my hand inside my backpack and eating it directly. Because, you're not supposed to bring outside food into the theater. We all do it. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have taken McDonald's in there before now.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
It's like, and it's really noticeable because it smells. It's like McDonald's food has a very specific smell.
Yep.
And it's like I can't fake it with anything else. Like, yeah, it's
No.
really obvious. And I remember taking that in when I went to see The Incredibles too. And it was just like, yeah, I don't care. But I was so hungry and I just had to take it in.
You do, yeah. And I mean, the movie theater food is so expensive. So it's like, I'm just going to take my own stuff. Screw you people.
Yeah. Thing is, I have like the tiniest bag. Like, I'm not big on carrying a big bag. So I have like a bag that will fit my purse, which is what you guys call a wallet. And because obviously because is it something like your purse is our bag? Something weird, is it in America?
Maybe. I don't know.
People say, oh, grab my purse. And they mean the whole bag. It's like, that's the bag. Purse is the one that holds the cash. And that's inside.
No, anyway, see, that's our wallet. That carries the cash.
Wallet is almost a male thing. It's like men have wallets, women have purses. It's weird. We'll do a England versus America something later.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a good English lesson at some point.
But yeah, so like it literally holds my phone and my purse, and that's it. So then it looks like I'm not smuggling, but it's like I can get like big pockets inside certain coats. I don't have many, or like a cardigan with big pockets underneath my coat, and that's where everything is. You just have to walk really carefully so you don't make noise. Nothing rustles. It's like, thank you for my ticket, and then you're walking really slowly. It's like so obvious you're smuggling in sweets.
See, that's why I like carrying a backpack. I don't like carrying anything big or bulky either, but that's why I like a backpack, because it's secure on my shoulders rather than me putting something over my shoulder or over my neck. I just like having it clasped, like attached to me, and that's it. But having a backpack, it allows me to like, you know, I can bring my snacks, I can bring extra stuff that I probably won't need. And I can just, you know, I have Band-Aids in there. I got like all this, I got all like the mom stuff in there.
Did they not check? Because over here they used to check if you carried a bag like a rucksack or a backpack, they would like, could you open it up please? And they'd look in and they'd check.
No, they probably should, considering, you know, I live in America and unfortunate things happen. But no, they don't check. And but I mean, also the other thing is too, where I mean, maybe it's different elsewhere, but around my area, all the movie theaters are run by a bunch of teenagers.
Oh,
because it's like their first job, so it's, you know, they don't really care.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds about right. Actually, I think most of the ones around here have like the teenagers or
yep,
very early 20s where they really don't give a crap.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. This was the weirdest episode, I think.
Yeah, I don't know whether to apologize or say you're welcome.
Well, with that, let's wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed all these weirdo questions, and I really hope you're answering them yourself. But before we turn it over to you guys fully, we just wanted to remind you that we're open to guest applications for 2023. So if you're a writer or if you work in the writing industry, you can head on over to our FAQ page over on Podbean. There will be a link below, and read through the FAQs. And if you think you might be a good fit, then do fill in our Google form that's linked on that page. Okay, as I said, do leave your answers to these questions in the comments below. We want to see them. And if you want more of the Mayor Writer podcast, then be sure to follow us on Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you're listening. And for as little as $1 a month, you can join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/the Mayor Writer podcast for bonus content. It does help to keep our show going, so we really do appreciate the support. In the meantime, tune in every Wednesday for a new episode of the Mayor Writer podcast, where we ask all the right questions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Half Empty Notebooks. We keep buying more. The music, titled Inspired, is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.